right, I think we should be live. I see audio going out, so I'm really hoping we don't have the repeat of last week.
Because that would suck.
That would really suck. All right, so we're here. Hello. We are the Adventure Initiative. We're redesigning some things and trying new things all the time. Last week, we had some audio failures, and we lost about half of the broadcast.
I already have one.
So we're really hoping this week's going to go much better. I think we got all the bugs worked out. And we're going to go from there.
So.
All right, so we have with us, Bringen is running late. He's stuck in traffic. But we have the rest of the crew with us. We have Beskar, Aslaneve, and Grodan. And our new layout.
Heyo.
Howdy.
And
Hello. I'm from Texas, by the way.
howdy. That's okay. I'm from Oklahoma. I got the accent too. I just kind of don't use it very much. Yeah. And we got people in chat that say they can hear us. Woohoo!
Yay!
Welcome to a world first for us.
Right?
A session with no audio issues to start.
Right?
It's never too late.
Don't say that. Stop.
We're gonna have them. Like, it's a thing.
Oh, I hope not, but probably. All right, so last week, you guys, although we didn't get to broadcast it, we did roleplay it with, you sailed up from Luskan around the peninsula there into icy territory. You sailed through an illusion-covered tunnel and only nicked the boat on the edge. Made it into the tunnel and found out that part of the tunnel had actually collapsed. The ship got stuck on part of some rubble. You exited the ship, made your way from there through a set of maintenance tunnels. Found a few very large icy lizards on the way. Exited the tunnels after defeating them and made your way into Frosthold Keep. I can put Frosthold Keep on the screen.
And we didn't die. So that was nice.
Yeah, no one died. Well, I think Bringen went down for about 3 seconds, but yeah.
Possible. Oh, he did.
Yeah, just for a bit. He took a little nap. All right, you guys came out of Frosthold Keep. You came through the tunnels. Came out into Frosthold Keep. Across a good stretch of icy territory, and it started getting warmer and warmer, and you started realizing that this place, although has a massive, several 100-foot tall glacier working just a mile or two away, it's actually very warm here. And you see a series of steam vents built into the walls around the city, acting like a giant radiator system. And the whole area is actually a good 70 degrees year-round. They keep thermal vents, keeping the place very comfortable, moderate. You went into the town. You met the chieftain, Mistress Heidelur. You met Vesmoya and Grossmore, who are Grodan's parents. And you found an entire city of nothing but Loxodon. After going to Grodan's house, parents' house, you got to meet with him. You met his brother, Dexlor. And you noticed that he had been through quite a bit. He had been through some trauma. You're not exactly sure. We didn't go into the details of what that trauma was. After talking with Grodan's parents for a little bit, You heard a knock at the door announcing a great feast. Apparently celebrating the return of the party, which happens to only be Grodan right now because the rest of the party, well, they died. But they still want to celebrate the return and the possible connections, so they set up a great feast in the courtyard in front of the temple, which is where you guys are now. Zoom in on that. You've left the boat behind and all the people on the boat, and you are sitting out here in front of the palace. In front of the palace, where they have a large area set up, like a giant banquet feast, potluck feast. Everybody brings their best meal and they celebrate. There's fine music playing. You find out that Loxodon really are great craftsmen and great musical artists. And you see Grodan and his mother sitting up next to Mistress Heideldur at the front. Thorba is standing back by the palace, just kind of mingling with the palace guards, got her arms crossed, smiling, watching the whole thing go down. Beskar, Bringen, and Aslaneve are sitting out in the crowd at a table, and there are other little round tables scattered all around where people are just sitting and enjoying the meal and listening to the music and celebrating. And that's where I think we're going to pick up today. It'll be a little bit of a repeat for some of you that did actually finish the show with us last week, but we're going to try to catch up with some of the audio that we missed. So, that's the recap. It's a long recap because I had to go over quite a bit, but here we are.
This mac and cheese needs more work.
So were we already seated with them?
Yes. And Chancellor Grinmuller is on the other side of you. The old, wrinkled Loxodon in the long red robe.
Yes. Sorry, I'm thinking.
That's okay.
Mistress, I am unsure of how to approach my station, but when would be a good time to speak on matters regarding this possible alliance?
Well, I think we'll discuss that in the morning. We have time tonight to celebrate. Unless you had other plans.
There is one matter that I do think would need some timely addressing.
Okay.
The ship that brought us here is stranded inside of the tunnel.
Oh, yes.
They are good people, and I do not believe they will be able to remove themselves without assistance.
Well, I think we could help with that. The tunnel did suffer quite a bit of damage when, well, we had some people who discovered our seaport access decided to try to cut us off from it. Unfortunately, all our strong men and fighters have been, well, in the mountains. When they come back, they will address it, but until then, we have limited accessibility. But yes, we can help with that. She turns back to one of the...
Is Beskar sat with us?
Beskar's sitting not very far away. You could flag him down if you wanted to. She turns to one of the palace guards and summons him over and whispers in his ear for just a moment, and he nods. Yes, mistress. And then walks off. You believe he's probably going to get other strong help.
Okay, I go over to where Grodan wanted me to go. Yes, Grodan?
Mistress,
Yes.
there is an introduction that I wish to make that did not get made earlier in all of
Okay.
the excitement. You've met my friend Beskar here.
Briefly, yes. Hello. She smiles very courteously. You can see, even though she has a trunk over her face, you can see in her eyes, she's very happy and pleased to see you. There's a very pleasant
He
smile to her.
he may not look it, but he is of a different race, one much like ours, who has been maligned for their past.
I
And his
see.
people, who are not from this realm, have come here to try and get away from that stigma.
Well,
They
how
are
could
in danger,
they're in
and I
danger?
have brought him here as a representative of his people.
Well, I see.
My city that is trying to get up and running is right now overthrown by a coup by an actual god member of my race, of which we are changelings. So I have the ability to look however I want, with some limitations. But yeah, that is the truth.
You
I am a
have the ability
changeling.
to look how you mean to cast illusions.
It's not magic, but yes, I can disguise myself
Beskar,
accurately. Yes,
show her your true form.
very well.
Uh,
All
Do
I
you
ask,
really do you want to do that here in front of everyone, or should this be a private matter? I don't know. I'm just
you know
asking.
what? You're right. That should be a private matter, because then something could happen, like all your guards try and kill me or something. Who knows what could happen then?
I would
That has
instruct
happened
them not
before.
to. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I would instruct them not to, but I hear your point. Perhaps we should go inside.
Yes. Let's.
So she stands up. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy the meal. We will return in just a moment. We have some business to take care of. Please enjoy the music. Go ahead. And the music picks up again a little bit louder. Everybody cheers. And as they see Grodan standing, yeah, woo!
Grodan, does like a, I don't know. I'm trying to think what a Loxodon salute would look like. We'll think about it. But he does a Loxodon salute.
All right. All right. And
Yep.
they all just cheer in response. Eventually, she turns after the crowd dies down a little bit and heads back in toward the palace. And the guards open the door for her as she goes through. And
Did the minister and Grodan's mother follow?
Grodan's mother follows behind. Chancellor Grinmore stays at the table. He just kind of looks up. He's too busy eating, apparently.
Yeah, so I guess we follow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you go inside, and it's a very... you've been here before, but for the viewers who didn't get to hear the description, very ornate, but not ostentatious interior. There are smooth worked stones, very high workmanship. The Loxodon are known for their great stonework and craftsmanship, and it shows here. This is something that has a building of great quality. And she steps inside, and as the guards close the door, she's like, there. The music dies down, and you still hear it coming through the door, but it's much softer. And she just smiles. I believe we have a little more privacy here. So, What would you like to show me?
Well, as a changeling, I have a true form that is unsettling to a lot of people, and then I reveal my true form.
All right. Are you using... There's a ability that changelings have to instill fear. It's an ability. It's not just big... They're not that they're so ugly that every time they show themselves, they instill fear. Are you intending to use that, or are you just showing your true form?
Nope, just showing my true form.
Okay. She is a little surprised. Oh, well, now that is a very interesting trick. So the form you had before, the human form, it appeared.
Yeah.
Is that an illusion?
It's not magic, but it is a disguise. So I can hold it as long as I
But,
want and need to.
for example, the hair that is there, that's real hair. Like I could touch it, and she reaches forward and touches your white hair. Like I could do that. It
Yes,
actually
I can
changes
recreate.
the length of your hair.
Yes, it changes skeletal structure, it changes body parts, although I cannot add limbs, also like a tail or extra wings or extra arms or even a trunk.
So you
It
could
has
not
limitations.
mimic me then.
I could try, but it would be very ugly.
It is unsettling.
She laughs.
when
She
they-
actually laughs at that. I see. Well, that is unsettling
It is
and good to
unsettling
know.
when he tries to take Loxodon form. It is not right.
Yeah, I
Well.
look deformed.
Like you've maybe been in battle and lost a trunk or two.
And
Or was-
then some, yeah.
Born without it, and it is even more unsettling that way.
She
Doesn't help when
giggles.
the point is to not draw eyes to you.
Right. Well, I am glad that you let me know. What is it? I am assuming that you bring this to my attention because you are requesting aid or assistance. You mentioned a coup. We are fighting our
Yes,
own fight right now. There's not much I can do to help.
We are asking that the changelings have the opportunity to be a part of this new alliance. They could be very helpful in in many different ways.
I see. Did you encounter them as part of your diplomatic mission?
I encountered my friend here through my travels, and we ended up in the city of his people. And having been from our kind and seeing the disdain that other races have, I empathized with their plight.
Yes, I am fully aware. I've traveled a bit myself recently. Well, I think when we are at full power, we would be able to assist you, but right now, our men are scattered. We have the front on Mirabar, of course. And Thorba steps
I
up.
believe
Thorba steps up and says, and we talked briefly about the threat to the east. Yes, I know. I'm not sure what to do about that.
I believe that with this alliance, the Mirabar threat would be taken care of. Am I correct on that, Thorba?
Well, yeah. I mean, I could go talk to Neverwinter and beseech them there to settle their people down a little bit. That you're with me now, and you're part of the Lord's Alliance, if you would so wish to be.
Yeah.
And she just kind of smiles and nods. I think that is an interesting proposition. What does the Lord's Alliance bring us? And Thorba smiles. Well, trade, but also armies, and well, it's basically everybody helps everybody else. So whatever you need, that's what it brings. It's a very large, and she begins to describe the setup, going in probably 2 minutes or so into all the various cities that are involved, the which cities are the powerhouses in what areas, from mining to merchants to war to soldiers to production, and eventually Mistress Heideldur. Oh, okay, all right. Well, I see. That is very very enticing. What would you think of such a proposition, Grodan? You are my ambassador for this. You've seen them. You've talked to them.
I have met with the Duke of Baldur's Gate and with Captain Thorba. I believe that they are honorable, and I believe that this union could benefit both of us. And if we add the changelings into this, it would benefit all of us even more. This threat that is being faced in the East is one that could negatively affect all of the world. We have seen this firsthand.
You have?
In a brief travel to Thay.
Well, all right. How much of a threat is this Eastern threat? If you've seen it.
I know that you have heard the stories of Thay, as, if I am not mistaken, they were once a partner in trade with us.
Long, long ago, long before me, but yes.
I believe that a large part of their decline is due to the head of this threat itself. From what I understood with speaking to members of the Resistance there. We have also made contacts in the Resistance.
All right.
But it is a grave threat. They, as you know, with necromancers, when the ranks of the opposing fall, they cause to swell the ranks of the oppressor, the necromancer.
Yes, well, unfortunately, that is a very difficult thing to overcome. Not falling in battle is apparently a very difficult task.
It is, but with a unified front, and with the different approaches from all of us, that may be the strength that is needed.
I see. So how would we assist these changelings? What are you asking?
There has already been a force sent in good faith by Baldur's Gate. They are waiting for the talks here to conclude.
I
A
see.
small force of Loxodon, along with those of Baldur's Gate, should be enough to help liberate the city. I do not believe that all changelings there wish to be subjugated by their leaders. I was under the impression from those that I spoke with that they saw this as a chance to start again and not have to live in fear.
Well, if we can get the Mirabar situation settled, we will definitely have men freed up to do that. And Thorba smiles. You leave that to me, ma'am. I got you covered. All right. If that's the case, then he stands up and gives a Loxodon salute, whatever that may be, to...
we'll figure it out.
Yeah. To Beskar and says, you have our aid. Of that, I assure you.
I also give I bow and say, I am deeply gracious and appreciate your assistance in this matter.
Of course. Well, I suppose we should get back out to the festival before they imagine we have, I don't know, run away. He
Indeed.
smiles.
Agreed.
Vesmoya is standing in the background. She just looks over at Grodan, just beaming, like, that's my son. Oh.
Grodan's trying to look, like professional.
So, Mistress heads toward the door, and they open the door for her again. The guards do, and you are able to follow her back out, and the music picks up again. And although as you go back out, you start to notice that people are winding down. The meal is pretty much over. It's been 20, 30 minutes, and people have finished their stuff, and it's kind of come as you are and come and go as you please. So people are starting to wrap up and head home. The evening is winding down. But she sits down and finishes her meal.
Yeah, Grodan's going to sit down and eat as well because he hasn't had some good Loxodon home cooking in a while.
Vegetarian home cooking. All right, so you guys...
like when everyone cooks vegetarian, it ends up being better, Like...
Because you have experience with it.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so you are out front. Chancellor Grinmore looks over at you. I trust everything went well.
It did, Chancellor.
Good. Well, I will see you tomorrow then, I suppose. I hear that you have some news or requests of us. All right, well, have a good evening. And he stands up and begins to saunter off.
All right. Grodan's going to finish eating, and then... Didn't his dad tell him to meet him at the forge with the War Master's greatsword?
Yes, because he was going to fix it and, sharpen it. Make it great and polished and... Yes.
Yeah, so I guess on the way back after everybody's finished eating, he's going to head to the forge.
All right. What are Aslaneve and Bringen doing during all this?
So, are we still at the feast and we're waiting outside?
Yes, you guys are sitting at a table outside. You pretty much had a table to yourself with Grossmore, Grodan's father, who was just sitting there with his arms crossed, kind of kicked his feet back. He seemed very impressed with just this constant grin on his face. Dexlor, his brother, you've seen him hovering in the background, but he didn't sit with you.
Okay.
Sneaky.
Bringen would put alarm by the door as he did.
Do you have to go up and touch the door for that?
No, it's a 20-foot by 20-foot cube that I designate.
Okay.
And it's just on the ground, I believe.
So
Let me just double check on that.
if you're able to get within 20 feet of it, the guards still come up and, excuse me, official business going on.
Yes, yes, an official security shall be made for my companion.
All right, well, just do it from there if you can.
I move 5 feet forward and then begin casting.
He's like, all right, whatever. You cast, and security is put in front of the door. And what are you looking for? Just to see if anyone enters or leaves without your permission or knowledge?
Alarm against unwanted intrusion. Oh, choose a door, window, or area within range no larger than a 20-foot cube.
Okay, so you have a 20-foot cube in front of the palace door. And you're just looking for anybody that breaches that aside from the guards who are already there and pacing.
Correct.
Okay. So you do that, and you feel it take root in the ground around the door. You don't see it visually, but you in your mind's eye you visualize where the borders of it are, and then you smile, and guard looks at you. Are you done?
Yes. And then I will begin using detect magic.
All right.
Because this one's a setup, the other one is a concentration.
All right.
But
So
I could ritual cast it.
roll a perception check to see what you notice, even with it, because we're going to check some things in the distance. It goes 120 feet. Is that right? Detect magic.
I believe.
I think it's 60 feet.
Hmm.
Oh,
That
30
might
foot radius.
30
Oh,
foot.
even lower.
Even closer. So, yeah, you do so.
Just walking around.
Okay. If
Doing my
you're
thing.
walking around, you might see a glint in the distance here and there, but every time you go to look for it, it slips away.
Hmm.
You turn your head, you see something that catches your attention, but when you go to check for it, it's like, what was that?
I go stand next to Aslaneve to verify that it's still working.
He glows like a Christmas tree.
All right. Perception. All right.
While you're doing that, Azaneve looks at you and he's like, "What in the seven hells are you doing?"
Don't use the R in front of it, just the exclamation point.
I am verifying that there are none from the nine hells visiting.
And you rolled a 7.
Very clever.
So you look around
Yes, clever I am. Nothing.
There's
will
one
keep my
sitting
gaze.
right next to him.
and you're not far off. As you roll that, you look over and you see Aslaneve is glowing considerably. He has a magical book that is still magical. A couple magical items on him that glow fairly brightly. But as you look around, you realize that there's not a lot of magic in the Loxodon city. Like, people don't have, even in Waterdeep, etc., you would have seen women who have a brooch that enhances their beauty just a little. Or, especially in the very wealthy areas of town. Here, you don't see even trace elements like that, where, minor enchantments and illusions or anything. Those are all strangely vacant here.
Interesting. That
So my
book worth
three-piece
reading?
suit and my big fatty hat is out of place here?
Just a little bit.
Okay.
Probably. Maybe.
So, Aslaneve, is your book there? That worth reading?
Excuse me?
You have a book? I can sense it.
I have a book, a spell book, as most wizards do.
You
Could
did
I
notice he
perchance
has
look at
2 books.
light reading, huh?
Yes, I wouldn't be much of a mage if I couldn't read.
That is sarcasm.
That's good. Back when I was your age, and he just starts going off.
Oh man, you and Aslaneve are just gonna be best friends.
I intend
That'd
to
be
be.
great.
the
and
over.
While
go ahead, sorry.
Bringen is talking, Azaneve casts Deafen on himself.
All right.
And then he just kind of like sits there and he's kind of just like nodding.
So as you're
Very nice.
talking, Bringen, you still have detect magic up, and you see him make this particular movement, and all around him, the sphere of yellow light goes and then vanishes.
Are you feeling safe?
Asley just nods.
Lovely weather we're having. I hope you're enjoying the food.
Asley, yes, that's great.
Uh-huh. By the way, did you know about the... And he just goes off and talks about some of the recipes and what he learned about the ingredients in the
Yes,
Luxodon kitchen.
because you learned quite a bit last week as you are a chef, and you got to experience the fine vegetarian cuisine and making of it from a very talented cook.
Mhm.
Really
And upon
pepper and
tasting it-
spice heavy.
Yes, but nevertheless, not toxic, fortunately.
And I guess after about a minute of him talking, the spell wears out, and he's like, "Oh God, you're still talking."
Wait, was I... I thought you were talking with me. You agreed to everything I said.
Yes, that bring in. I don't mean to be rude, but can you possibly stop talking to me?
Possible? Yes. Am I going to? Absolutely not.
I don't.
What-
I just feel like we don't really have much to speak about. I doubt we have many things in common.
Ha ha ha. Many things in common, perhaps not. The only thing we have in common, as far as I know, is we both came here on a ship that's been wrecked.
Yes, and that's where the similarities end.
Yes, perhaps we should talk more. There's plenty that you've adventured and done that perhaps I haven't had the grace of knowing. Might improve my opinion of you.
Or worsen.
Will let fate decide that? Because what one did in one's past is not defining of who they are now.
I mean, this was pretty recent, but yeah.
So you guys finish your meal,
Yeah.
and eventually the crowds die down and wander off, and Grusmore stands up. Well, son, perhaps we should see to that War Master's blade of yours. Begins heading across the town toward the blacksmith shop.
Grodan follows. He brought the sword with him. He didn't leave it at home.
Of course. So you go and begin sharpening the blade. He has several tools. You see several pieces of very fine Loxodon-sized armor strewn about that he is currently working on. Helmets and shields, and one very long, it looks fairly intricate, a set of what appears to be a cross between banded mail and plate mail, where the pieces interlock and have little hinges that allow the pieces to move, but you notice there's a plate behind that. So as the pieces move, there's still coverage. It's not like there's a gap that forms.
Does this look new, or would he have seen anything like this prior?
That's a good question. This is a fairly new design that I think your father's been working on, and he kind of grins as you look over at it. Now, so you noticed.
It looks different than what we normally wear.
It's something I've been putting together. Just trying to give us a fighting edge, you know?
How does it work? I'm much more used to the splint, which allows more mobility, but this looks more robust.
Yes, it'll take quite a beating. If you look here, and he turns it upside down, and you can see the little grooves that the plates fit in that run along these little channels. But each of the channels are also hinged, so you can see, you know, as he moves it, it's almost like, it's not quite fabric, but it's got a heck of a lot more mobility and movement than any plate mail you've ever seen. Especially for that size, because, you know, you get plates that big and there's just not a lot of give because the plates have to stay connected. And this actually has a lot of give and torque and twist, and it looks fairly comfortable. And he starts describing, you know, how he did this, and he had to bend this just to the right angle, and he had to hook it up, and it's got a little spring that on the inside that keeps it all tight and held together, and very complex. It borders on gnomish ingenuity.
It's very impressive, Father.
Well, trying to make something that would make our people and our War Master proud. Turns out, I guess that's you.
So it would seem.
Well,
I still do not know that I am worthy, but I cannot dispute. I cannot dispute War Master Greth's word.
if you say so. I have yet to talk to him. Kind of find it odd that seeing as he's dead, but, you know, if you say you did, then I guess you did.
I would not have believed it myself, Father.
Well, let me get this sword cleaned up. Shouldn't take long. And he sits down at the grinding wheel and pedals it a little bit, and it spins up. And he starts grinding away at the sword, and he's very careful not to grind over the runes. He leaves those perfectly intact, but is working along the very edge of it, just to take out some of the chips and dents and things that have happened to it in the recent battles. Looks like you've seen quite a fair share here.
I have seen much, and it saw much prior to coming to my hand. War Master Boken did not go down without a fight.
It appears. He kind of rubs his hand across one fairly deep gash. And what kind of things have you gone up against? These look, well, it would take a lot, very strong armor and bones to cause this kind of damage.
When the envoy was attacked, we were beset upon by a demonic host, and it was led by a very powerful one of them, and it saw quite a lot of damage in that fight before the War Master was able to do something that severely weakened the creature and gave me a chance to run with the blade.
That's when he fell.
That is when he fell.
He kind of nods his head in silence for a moment. That is too bad. He will be missed.
I have fought a number of things, and I have fought a number of threats since then, whether it be bandits while staying with the family that took me in while I was healing, to cult members, to a draconic lich.
A what?
There have been many things.
A draconic
We fell a draconic
lich?
lich. Yes.
And you defeated it?
With my friends, yes.
He smiles and nods. You have been busy. Well, let me work on this for a little bit more, and I will get it back to you. I promise it will be the best it's ever been. He begins working away on it. What are
Might I
Aslan?
borrow
Oh, sorry. Yes?
Might I borrow one of the great swords here for practice?
Oh, of course. There's a pile over there. Just help yourself to whatever one fits your hand.
So yeah, he's going to grab one. He's going to go to like the training yard and just
and you
practice.
do see quite a few. They're not like abandoned pieces. They look very nice. They're high craftsmanship, but you can tell he's made a few extra for battlefront usage. And with the battlefront being away, there's no one's come and claimed them yet. So they're still high quality.
Yep.
So what
he's
are
going to take one and take it to the training yard.
Right. So what are Aslan and the rest doing while he's over here sharpening his sword?
It's a hard decision whether I want to be with Beskar or with Bringen, because I don't.
Well, you could wander off on your own.
Ko anymore.
Yes, Ko is helping lead the fight to Daxletha, and you are without your friend. Yes.
I guess I'll just stick close to Bringen, I guess.
All right.
Whatever he's doing.
Roll a perception check. Actually, what is your passive perception? That's a better way of doing this. What's your passive perception?
Aslan's passive perception is 16.
All right. As you're sitting there, you see you're talking to Bringen, and he's rambling on about the stew and how he made it, and he made with no meat, and it was really still very tasty. And he's just going on and on and on, and you can't. Oh God, make it stop! And as you're looking around, trying to entertain your brain, you see Dexlor standing way off in the distance, and he's just staring at you. And that's it. He's just glaring at you, at your little table, that little area.
Since Aslu noticed it, he just like stares back.
It becomes a bit of a stare-off for a good 5-10 minutes while Bringen is still continuing to talk about the wonders of peas.
Aslu's like, Bringen, excuse me, there's something I must attend to really quickly. And like while Bringen's talking, he just gets up and like walks towards Grodan's brother.
All right, good chatting with you. Hope to catch up again soon. I'm sure I'll see you around.
Aslan just rolls his eyes as they walk away.
Good kid. Good kid, that one.
All right, so you head towards Dexlor?
Yes.
He's a good, probably 80, 100 feet away, and as you start approaching, he turns and starts walking back toward his parents' house from the way you came originally.
I guess I'm going to keep following him.
All right. You follow him through the streets, working your way around into the little alley that leads up to Grodan's parents' house. It's a nice house in a very decent district, but there are little cubbies and back alleys that hide things, and you see him duck into one of those back alleys.
What do you think his name is? Dexlor?
Yeah.
And as the dude calls out, he's like, Dexlor, I mean you no harm. I just need to speak to you.
He doesn't slow down. Instead, he turns into the alley and almost you notice he's walking with a limp, and he has been through a lot. You know that Grodan has told you that his body has been through a lot of trauma, and his mind as well. And it's very evident in the way he's moving. His one arm is always kind of pulled to his side, and he walks with a bit of a limp. And even his trunk doesn't... You've seen the Loxodon as they're talking and eating and moving. The trunk is like an extra hand that just does things with, without even. It's not like they purposely have to think about picking up something and moving it. They're just talking, and all of a sudden it reaches over and grabs the, a cup or whatever, and it's just part of their. And he doesn't seem to do that. As you've noticed him talking, the trunk hangs limp most of the time. And as he turns, he limps into this alleyway and slips into the darkness.
Odd. Well, it's no sense in chasing him, I suppose. I don't think that'll, garner any favor. Chasing him down like a madman.
Just in case it's almost been an hour.
It's been about
bring
20,
him
30
into it.
minutes.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah, I'm assuming this is happening while Grodan is away, not necessarily afterward.
Okay. I was just saying he'll recast alarm if it gets to a point where it wears out.
Right.
So I guess Azaneve, since he was like, he's like, I guess I'll just go back. He goes back to the table to sit down.
All right. You go sit down, and the area has become fairly empty. There are still lights strung up with candles hanging in these little baskets that give the whole area like a garden party vibe. But you see a lot of people have picked up, and as they pass you, they acknowledge you, very friendly. It is a town completely of Loxodon, and as they pass the half-elf, the odd person, they just smile. Yeah, it was nice to have met you. You never even talk to this person, but they all seem to say, it's nice to have met you, or so good to see you. And as they wander on to their wherever it is they're going.
Well, it looks like I won't be learning any magic here, at least not the kind I do. But I wonder if
you're saying that to yourself, or are you saying that to someone? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Talking to if Bringen is there.
Yep, still here.
I
have to be 60 feet of the alarm.
I was wondering if maybe they had maybe like a small repository of magic. I mean, nearly all races have some form of magic, even if it's small.
As far as I could tell, there hasn't been any here. I've been looking for it and haven't found anything.
Azaneve just sighs. It was like, ugh, that's depressing.
I'm gonna go up to Azaneve.
You would have seen like magic weapons and stuff, I'm sure.
I'm gonna go up to Azaneve and say, "Hey, Azaneve, do you want to go explore the town, maybe the city, or see if they have any cool magic weapons?"
I'd rather.
Hopefully, you hear Grodan in the back of your head telling you to behave. Especially considering that one of you is a diplomatic envoy.
Hey, Azaneve, do you want to go find something?
Behave.
Why not? It's better than listening to Bringen talk about curry.
Yeah. Do you want help? Do you want to play a prank?
Say that again?
Do you want to play a prank on him? Do you want to mess with him?
Well, I don't want to mess with his focus. It looks like he has a spell going, but...
Well, my plan is to cast Phantasmal Force and just have you... It'll be an image of you talking to him, but to everyone else, he'll just be talking to the air. And that'll be pretty funny, don't you think?
Doesn't that spell cause mental damage?
Yeah. What?
If I have someone, if like...
It's not like Major Illusion.
If the... No. If the illusion can attack, in quotation marks, then it will do a damage.
Oh. So, yeah,
but,
the wording says that if the idea of the image would hurt or harm the person viewing it, that it would cause a damage.
Yeah.
As
so, like, if I create...
So if you make a
Fantastic
purposely
force of someone being
peaceful
on fire.
image, it would not do damage. All right, I could buy that.
So, like, phantasmal force of fire on someone, they would be taking psychic damage. But
As
a
if it were
mental
fire,
image of
right?
someone just distracting some. Yeah.
All right,
Interesting.
I can buy that.
Well, you could, Beskar. He's a paladin. I heard they have impressive will.
True. Or we could just go out and see what the town has to offer.
Yes, it's probably, antagonizing people we just met is probably not a good idea.
True. Although I thought you were about chaos. I didn't care about socialness. Oh well, let's go. And then we walk out in search of
Organized chaos, Beskar.
That's right.
So you
I'm much
leave
more
the
into the wild chaos.
well-lit area of the garden party, as it were, heading out into the fairly dim-lit streets. There's a couple lamps on the fronts of people's houses and such that light the area between the buildings, but really, it's a very quiet place. You see people, milling about and getting themselves ready for their evening, and they see you pass and they smile and wave and then head back inside. It's a fairly quiet evening throughout all of Frosthold Keep.
We don't know the
Is it
place. We don't
possible?
know how to get around.
Brengan, you would know that there's no one inside no one has gone in or out of the palace since the mistress and Grodan and crew have come back out. So you don't believe there to be anyone inside there.
Okay. In which case, he would go and find a place where he can see the stars. Start doing some meditation.
All right. It's a very beautiful night out, clear skies. It's actually very warm, although you're sitting in what you know to be an Arctic area. It's a very warm night, and a very cold breeze blows every now and then, but it immediately seems to be warmed, followed by a warm breeze that seems to come from the walls and the vents. So you guys are wandering around, Aslaneve and Beskar, and what are you searching for? Tell me what you're doing.
Where they keep the magical weapons. I just want to see if it's open to the public.
Are you doing like detect magic, or are you just looking for a sign that says "Ye Old Magic Shop"?
I don't have detect magic, so I don't think it does. But I'll look for the sign, or I could message Grodan and ask if he'd tell. I don't know.
Well, isn't it like the evening? So wouldn't people be wrapping it up anyway?
Right. It's dark. Darkness has fallen. It is probably 8-9 o'clock at night. You've had a great evening. Music has played, and even the band has packed up and gone home. So people are starting to wind down for the evening and make themselves ready for bed.
I think we should probably head back to the house. I don't
That's fair.
want to cause any trouble.
All right, fine.
We'll never hear the end of it from Grodan if we do.
So what?
You're right,
Okay,
well.
you had a passive perception of 12. You said
Aslaneve has a passive perception of 16.
16. Okay. What is your passive perception, Beskar? I'm going to write it down so I don't have to keep asking. He is, for podcast listeners, he is looking it up because he doesn't know either.
Wow, Aslaneve has a pretty good passive investigation. Like 19.
Okay.
passive investigation? Holy mackerel.
Yeah, his passive investigation is 19.
Wow. I did not know that. I will have to keep that in mind as you are rummaging through things, etc.
As the noob sees all.
Sadly. Bring in. I did get your note. Thank you. All right. So while you're looking it up,
No worries.
you are headed back to Grodan's parents' house.
Yes.
Okay. You do so. And as you enter, you see Vesmoya standing in the distance talking to one of the neighbors, and she just waves at you. I'll be in a moment.
And he waves back and is like, no problem. I'll just be here in the kitchen.
Okay, so you go inside.
Yes. And I sit on one of those enormous chairs.
They are very large chairs, yes.
Especially the Azani, he's small.
I imagine it's like comically big too. You know? Not just a very large seat. It's like
Yeah.
in cartoons.
There we go. All right, so you head in. See if his stealth is. You hear. Nope. You hear in the distance shuffling and moving around in the back, one of the back rooms.
Like we hear
Like-
Beskar.
No, like you hear
There
Beskar,
it
yes. You hear that going on toward the back of the house.
Best
Do you
guy.
hear that? Yes.
Yes. All I hear is.
Yeah, I don't think that was me because I muted it.
Okay, now it's gone. Okay.
So what do you do? You're just gonna make yourself
I
at
guess
home.
I'm gonna investigate the shuffling because I don't. Nothing else to do.
All right, so you
I
head
will
back and
also do that.
toward the back of the house. As you walk through the house, you hear it's toward one of the back rooms. Eventually, you hear this voice. I think they know. Wait a minute. Did you hear that? Hold on a sec. Stands up. You hear walking. Eventually, one of the bedroom doors opens and you see Dexler standing there. What are you doing?
I heard noises, so I just came to make sure everything was okay.
It's my house.
As-
Of course you hear things.
Yeah, so just wanted to make sure everything was all right. Do you mind if I ask you a question?
Sure. You're going to ask anyway, so.
Very astute. Did I do something to upset you? Or did one of my companions do something? You seemed very upset at the gathering.
No, not at all. Matter of fact, kind of glad to see you. He just grins.
I don't understand what you mean by that, but
Aye. Anyway, you should probably find yourself some place to rest. I think Mom plans on putting out the couch for you.
that would be great.
And he just turns and closes the door.
Interesting.
Yeah, you got the
So,
opinion he's not real pleased with you. much sarcasm.
Azani was like, not sure what I did, but all right.
I went with Asani back to the house. Did I see any of that?
Yes, you were right behind him. He was. I assumed he was talking to both of you pretty much.
Okay. I'll walk out and then I can turn invisible and I'll listen at the door.
Oh, all right. So you continue listening.
That was suspicious.
Roll another perception check to see what you can hear.
All right. Just switch to my thing. +5. Okay. $12. I did not roll high.
All right. Let me see. 12. Okay, so you would hear then.
Cool.
You hear him talk. You hear his voice. Continue talking. See how much. All right. So you not only hear his voice, you're able to pick out certain words. Something about. I think it's the same one. Of course, I'm sure. He sits quiet for a moment, just listening. You're not hearing anything, but you can tell there's some sort of conversation going on. Eventually, he's like, "All right, well, I'll keep in touch. You keep things moving at your end." And that's all you hear.
Okay. That gave me no information.
It should have.
I mean, all I know is he's talking to someone, and it's a bit secrety. That's it. I don't have any names. I don't have any locations.
It's poor Luxodon's thieves' camp.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, the fact that he's potentially up to something nefarious should be enough.
Yes, you think we should murder him? One of us has to be Co, okay? That's what he says to Asani.
Azani was asked, he's like, well, what did you hear?
Not much. Just he was talking to someone. They said, "I think it's the same one." Of course, I'm sure. All right. Well, I'll keep in touch. You keep in touch on your end.
Odd. I don't know.
I wonder what
I caught him staring at us at the gathering.
At us or one
Well,
of us?
me and at least in the general direction that Bringen and I were in.
Maybe it's towards you would bring in?
Well, I know that this place
like
has
it's the same one might mean you or bring in?
Potentially. I don't know how they would know Bringen or me.
And I don't know about Brain, but you don't seem to have a reputation around in this even whole dimension.
Which I'm grateful of, actually. But
That's you.
And I doubt that Blix and his whole gang would try and follow you here since they kind of sent us here.
yeah, it wouldn't make sense, would it? Well, I'm sure he'll slip up more.
Yeah. He doesn't seem to be the smartest.
Oh, I don't take him for a fool. People that have been broken in body and mind tend to be a little smarter than your average person.
True, but they do make mistakes.
True. I do notice they don't have a fondness for magic here.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like, I looked very out of place with my big hat which I'm still wearing.
Which you're still wearing, yes.
And I'm still invisible, technically.
Well, I guess we should just wait till Grodan to get back. There's not
Vesmoya
much
does.
studying I can do.
Vesmoya comes in after a while and, oh, you young boys, how can I make you comfortable for the evening? We don't have any inns or hotels around here, and we don't get travelers. Perhaps I could make you a bed in the living room.
That would
That'd
be fine. Thank you. I wonder if we can see Grodan's room. I wonder what fun things from his childhood he has in there. Do you mind if we see Grodan's room, man?
I suppose it's been a while. He hasn't used it, but sure. And she heads back toward the back. She opens a door, and as she opens it, you can see all kinds of boxes and items that have just been kind of stacked in. It's become more of a storage space than it is a bedroom.
Oh, it's that room. Okay, I see.
Is there a problem?
No, I just want to see what my friend would up to. I like to embarrass him sometimes.
Oh, I see. Well, you could always just call him Whoopi.
I will. I will write that down.
Well.
Ruby. Okay. Thank you. That is. I am so grateful for that.
Oh, you are
right.
more than welcome. Well, let me go get the blankets and the padding. Do you require anything special? I'm sorry, I'm not sure what half elves and humans, or in your case, your kind, need. Is there any special needs you have?
No, we're pretty fairly
No, yeah,
standard.
I'm fine. Yeah.
You can tell when she was asking that, she was looking way more toward Beskar, but, she wasn't sure, trying to be polite.
He was tempted to say something like 5 pillows and the comfiest bed on the planet, but he decided to not do that.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, so she comes back later, and you see her setting out various pillows and blankets and cushions along the living room floor. This is really all the room that we have. I apologize, but hopefully it will be comfortable for the night.
It will do splendidly, don't worry.
We appreciate you.
Grodan, you've watched your father make all the adjustments to the sword as necessary. It has a very polished, shined edge now. The gashes and slashes along the edges of the blade have been cleaned up and polished, and it looks very much like the War Master's blade again. It will be a fine-tuned weapon. We can discuss what that means during the break or something.
No, I'm streaming D&D.
Yes, you are. All right. So you guys get ready for the evening. Beds are made. Plans are made. Is there anything you guys need to do before morning comes?
Nope.
Where are
Not for
you
me.
at, Mr. Bringen?
Well, off to the side, I rolled a die.
You did?
Investigation to see if I got lost in town. And I rolled a 9.
It takes you a good hour to find. It's not a very big town. Frosthold Keep is, 500 people maybe. It's not huge by any stretch. 600 maybe. I don't know. It's fairly tiny, but it does take you a while. When you keep going up to a door, going, I think this is the house, but I don't want to just walk in. Eventually, you hear Vesmoya in the distance. Loxodon are not known for being uber quiet. And you hear her voice and recognize it and find your way in.
Yeah. And then, did you get the message I sent you earlier?
About the wheel and wane?
Yes.
Yes. I will try to
So,
reply as I can to that, yes.
no worries.
Is that something you're wanting to use right now? Or in a very near future?
Possibly in the very near future.
Okay.
But otherwise, when he gets in, he... well, actually, before he settles into sleep, he actually heads outside and looks at the stars and then uses... tries to get on the roof if he can.
Oh yeah, the roofs are for the house, for the official buildings and such. They have a very steep slope to them with this swooping edge. They look very highly crafted, but these the modern house, or the modern house, the living house, the living quarters have kind of this 15-degree angle back slant, almost like a lean-to kind of shape. They're very nice houses. They're not lean-tos, but they just have they don't have the gabled roof. They just have the flat roof. So you can crawl up there and do stargazing if you would like.
Yeah.
Are you
so
climbing
as
up onto Vesmoya's house, or are you just finding any given roof?
Probably Vesmoya's, as I has been allowed into their home.
Yes.
But I also don't want to disturb them, as because as bringing gets to the roof, he uses produce flame to give himself just a little bit of light, and then reads his own book and goes over the prayer beads as he looks at constellations of the stars.
All right.
After doing that, he goes downstairs and joins everyone else, and sleeps right in front of the door.
All right. You drag a pillow over next to the door, and as you're setting it up, Grodan comes in, and Grossmore. They, seem in good spirits. It's nothing like they were arguing or anything.
I just made the bed. All right, well, welcome. Come on in. That's what I'm here for.
Sorry, didn't know you were there. That's an odd place to sleep. You probably shouldn't sleep there, but whatever. You have strange friends, Grodan.
I cannot dispute this.
I will say, if someone picks the lock on this door and mentions ill will towards anyone, I am the first thing in the way. And me being a large human, I'm able to prevent intrusions. I would hope.
I doubt that would be an issue.
I would hope. But we do have the War Master staying with us. I don't expect an intruder would be a problem for you, now would it, son?
Grodan can't tell if his dad's being serious or if he's patronizing him. Like, I don't know how to respond to that.
He just smiles
I'm going to sleep.
And nods and, good night, son. And heads back to the back room. You hear him kind of chuckling as he's walking down the hallway.
I guess the thing I would do before Aslan goes to sleep is put on the necklace, because I don't want to forget to do that.
Do not forget to... Yep. Alright.
And before I go to sleep, I will cast Sending to Ko and say, Grodan's childhood name was Ruby, and we should call him that. That's all.
You hear absolute laughter from the other end. She doesn't say any, sentences or words. Just...
Did he say that to me?
Laughing incredibly.
I cast Sending. I cast Sending to Ko, that's all.
Yeah.
Oh.
You just hear absolute laughter. Yeah. Now, Grodan, you go back to your room and you see that there's a bed under there somewhere, but it has become mostly storage items. There's boxes and various sets of books, and there might even be, some old childhood toys, etc., boxed up in there somewhere. But you could probably uncover it if you spend the next 5 minutes or so moving some things around, giving yourself a very pleasant, comfortable sleep.
Yep, he's just gonna get ready, and before he sleeps, he is gonna meditate with the sword, and just like have the sword sitting across his lap, like with the one hand resting on the blade, and basically let the War Master know that he's accepted the responsibility.
Okay. So, as you're doing that, you just feel this sense of accomplishment, and you're not sure if that's the War Master or if that's Grodan. But either way, you feel like you've accomplished something today.
Yep. And
All right,
Grodan's going to go to sleep.
Everyone is settling in for the night. Grodan, you are next door to your brother's room. Roll a perception check. I know we've done lots of perception checks, but it's really all we've had room to do.
I forgot. I meant to cast alarm before going to sleep.
Okay, duly noted. Alarm on the front door, or alarm where?
If I find an area where there's multiple windows, preferably there,
Okay,
where I could get as much coverage as possible.
yeah. Along the front of the
25.
house. Oh, very awesome. Along the front of the house, there is a large kind of bay window that looks out into the main street that goes through town. It's a very beautiful view. You see out into the main wall where the steam is rising up into the air, and just beyond that you see the white and blue glacier, mostly midnight blue right now with the darkness. But you do see it reflecting back at you, even in the distance. And you put it next to that window and keep things protected, or at least alarmed. 25. You know that your brother has gone through quite a bit, and so you are expecting to hear, noises, etc. It's the fact that you don't hear anything that actually kind of makes you wonder if is he still okay? But you literally don't hear anything, and that's kind of you'd expect to hear snoring or moving around or thumping or something.
And this is before I'm going to bed.
Yes.
Grodan is going to go next door to his brother's room.
Okay. Are you walking in or just standing in front of the door? What are you doing?
He's going to go and he's going to knock on the door.
Okay, you knock. And there is no reply.
Or he's going to open the door.
You open the door and you notice that the room is empty. That there are boxes, and the bed is disheveled with the sheets all crumpled up, etc. But the side window is open, and your brother is not in his room.
Grodan's going to look around the room.
All right. Investigation check, please.
All right, 1 second. $17.
17. You find, after a good hour of searching, you are being fairly thorough. You're not like ripping the room apart, but you're looking at all the various. You see books and notebooks, especially, and that really draws your attention. You really want to get to know what is going on with your brother. Who is your brother? You haven't seen him in so long. And you find some old
And
journals.
he's not, the same person that, he was when he was a kid.
So you begin to open that up and dig through that, eventually coming to passages about his time in the war, etc. And after that, things just kind of die down. You don't really hear much from him. As far as you don't read much from him, he doesn't seem to write as often. And toward the back of that particular book, you flip all the way. You just keep flipping. And eventually you come to, you see these two strange symbols. Roll a history check. Let's see if you can remember in your history what those symbols are. I gotta get back to roll dice.
16.
6. All right. You have seen those before etched in some kind of metal. You can't remember where, but you remember it was etched in metal.
Are his parents still awake?
You could go knock on the door and find out, but it is getting late.
Well, I mean, with concern that his, clearly disturbed brother is missing in the middle of the night, and he has, rambling, which is not to be too surprised, but he's concerned, so he's going to take it downstairs and knock on the door.
Okay, you go down the hall and knock on the door, and Vesmoya, after a few minutes, comes and kind of peers through and... Yes? Oh, hello, Grodan.
I'm sorry,
Is
Mother.
there something wrong?
But... Darn it. 1 second. I gotta look something. Dexlor is not in his room. He seems that he has left through the window.
Oh. Well, he does take to wandering at night sometimes. He'll be back by morning, I'm sure. He always is.
I did not mean to pry, but I found this in his room, and this in particular looks familiar to me. I did not know if you possibly knew where it came from.
She looks at it, and her eyes kind of to linger on the page for a minute, and eventually she looks up and smiles. I don't know. I'm sorry. Perhaps you should talk to someone else about that. I'm probably not the best source for that. Not much of a history or writing expert. And with that, she uncharacteristically is like pushing you away. Not pushing you physically, but, good night, dear. And she starts to close the door.
Grodan's going to go and wait in his brother's room.
All right. So you sit there and you wait. Are you going to wait as long as it takes, the true Loxodon stubbornness, or are you just going to wait for a certain period of time?
He's going to wait until his brother comes back.
All right. So he takes 2 hours. Eventually, you hear as the window slides open, and he crawls back through, and you see him limping as he gets his foot over. He has to reach over and grab his foot and pull it in, and kind of falls in. Stands up and looks over and finally sees you and is startled. Grodan.
Where were you, Dexlor?
Just getting some fresh air. Why?
Why did you not use the door?
didn't want to wake up Mom and Dad. They seemed to, sleep light and stuff. What, am I your little baby brother now?
I understand that what you went through was challenging. I just worry that maybe you are looking for ways to make the world pay instead of trying to heal yourself.
He smiles when you say make the world pay. No, I know I've done my share, and the world's done its share. Now it's just a matter of getting better, getting back out there, picking up a sword again. You know how that goes.
Grodan's gonna, well, not well, but insight. So
All right.
that's a 12.
Insight. Let's see. Does not. Okay. He is being very deceptive, and you begin to to get the idea that it's not just that he's trying to like blow something off. There is a difference in his voice, even that just doesn't seem to be right. And you begin to understand that this may not be the same brother you used to know.
So Grodan stands up, and I'm assuming that, because Dexlor's, definitely not, he's definitely not the same Loxodon, because he's not the same Loxodon in, size.
Right. You can tell he's
he
withered
was when Grodan was younger.
and hunched.
But Grodan stands up purposefully, like to his full height, and he has the sword, slung against his back. Says, "You are my brother, and I hold the memories of you from my childhood fondly. But no, I am the War Master now. It is my job to protect our people from anything." And he stares at him, like, just stares him down. Like, actually, I'm going to roll an intimidation check, too.
Oh, okay.
18.
All right. What are you trying to intimidate him to? Are you trying to convince him to talk or convince him to run, or how threatening?
Well, no, he's trying to convince him, like, he is, he's putting himself on his full formidable display. Like, he's his brother was a Loxodon warrior, and Grodan's got that kind of just ready to explode energy, like that energy, and right before a fight, like that tension, and he's trying to convey that, like the spring primed to explode, and staring him down while doing that, letting him know.
Yeah, he backs up a good step and a half or so, and just kind of glares up at you, and you can tell he's kind of bent and weakened now, and so he has to look up to his younger brother, and he says, "What is that, like a threat now? Am I supposed to be in your way?"
You should take that however you feel you need to take it. If you think that you are a threat to our people, know that it is my job to ensure that those threats are put down.
Roll a... Let's see, what would that be? That would probably be a wisdom
Intimidation
saving.
again?
That would be a wisdom saving throw.
What?
A wisdom saving throw.
Is this a charm effect?
No, it is not.
Alright, it's 15.
Is you see him reach up and put his hand right in your face, and it just this blinding flash.
So I
And
failed?
You failed, and it.
I'm gonna use my Indomitable and re-roll
Okay.
that.
All right.
Oh wait, no, sorry, that was the wrong roll. I typed the wrong thing.
It's a 5. I think that counts. You just got to add
That
one
wasn't
more
the
to
right
it.
one.
Just gotta-
I mean, I guess, yeah.
Just add one more to it.
Yeah. That's 6.
You were 1 point shy. He puts his hand up right in your face, this blinding light, and your world kind of pauses for a minute, and you feel life kind of slipping from you, like you've been paralyzed. He says, "Couldn't leave well enough alone." And it's not your brother's voice now. That is a totally different voice. And at that note...
Since we heard since there's magic, would we have heard that?
No, it's just a blinding light. It wasn't an explosion.
Like,
It was just...
oh, okay.
And on that note, I have to use the restroom. So I'm going to call it a bio break. And I will be right back. We'll give it 5 minutes and try it. And now, the interesting part begins.
All right. Quick question. So, would he have triggered the alarm?
Well, it is on the side of the house. It's a 20-foot cube, not just a wall, right? So it's a cube, right?
Correct.
Yes, he
Yeah.
would have then. Coming back into the house, he would have tripped the alarm.
Okay.
Which means Bringen woke up.
So
Doesn't
bringing
mean
you
he did anything particular yet.
No, not yet.
But yeah.
We'll see. But you wake up and you hear bing, and you know exactly what that sound means.
Yep.
And we will check that in just a moment.
All right. See you in a few.